Hey guys, welcome back to Margot Watches Movies. My name is Jake Margot, and tonight we're going to be reviewing The Last of Us Season 2 finale. I got some thoughts on this episode, and I'll get the good parts out of the way because I have a lot of feelings on this. The good, I think as far as nailing the aesthetic and the look of the game, with set design, visual effects, lighting, atmosphere. I think this was one of the best episodes to handle it in that regard. This really captured a lot of what made Day 3 in Seattle so iconic in the game. And I can say this about Season 2 of The Last of Us. It has made me appreciate the game more because for however we feel about the storytelling beats and the direction that they took the story, they handled it with so much more gravitas. And I just have to say, Ashley Johnson as Ellie in the game, the motion capture performer, was operating at a level that was just out of this world. She absolutely crushed that role. And unfortunately, with the actress that they decided to cast in the show, the shoes that she left were much too large to fill. And a lot of my gripes with this episode really come down to Bella Ramsey and her all over the place, just erratic characterization of Ellie. Just not good. And I hate to say it. And it really doesn't even have to do with like her and how much she looks like Game Ellie. It's just the way that she handles scenes and the choices she makes as an actress. And I don't know how much of this is the writing. How much of it is Neil Druckmann? How much is he overweighing the creative mind of Craig Mazin, the showrunner and writer of Chernobyl, one of the greatest limited series released in recent memory? Is it Neil and just her limited acting range? Because I'll say this on a positive note. There is one really powerful scene in this episode, and it's almost, if not just as powerful as it is in the game, with the with keeping in mind that they do take out Owen's very powerful line. But when she cries and it has to be super emotional, she can hit that note very well. But unfortunately, that is the only note she really can hit as an actress. Everything else, throughout this episode, she comes off as a petulant little brat. She comes off as ungrateful. When it's time to showcase the aftermath of her life-altering decision and the emotional weight of that, aside from her walking into the door of the theater at the end of the episode shell-shocked, it's just not there. The performance fell so flat. It was not good. If there was a Razzie for television, I think she would be nominated for this episode. And maybe I'm being too harsh, but I'm a big fan of Game Ellie. She's one of my favorite video game characters of all time. And the performance of Game Ellie, Ashley Johnston, is one of the greatest ever. And, you know, with this episode, we start off Dina, Jesse, who I really loved in this episode, by the way, as kind of a foil to Bella Ramsey's version of Ellie and her arrogance. We start off with Dina and Jesse removing the arrow wound from 2 episodes ago. She kind of plays her hand that she's pregnant. He figures it out as we figure out a little later down the line. And then we start cutting between Ellie, Isaac, and his second in command planning their raid on the Scar Island, which we'll get a lot more details in next season, however many years down the line that is, if people still care. But like when Ellie gets back from brutally murdering Nora, torturing her to death with a lead pipe. In the game, Ellie is shaken to her core at this. And I understand if they wanted to like save that for later in the episode. But what ends up happening is this mismatch of writers and performance, and it doesn't add up. Nothing meshes well. Because you have Ellie coming back after that, and she is immediately rushing in. Where's Dina? Where's the baby? Which makes sense. But like in the game, Ellie comes back shaking from what she had to do. And she has been on a dark path, a much darker path than the show showcased to viewers as far as her revenge arc. Like in this, at times, CW feel of a television show, when it's revealed that Dina's pregnant, does Ellie say, I'm gonna be a dad and get down and dirty on a theater floor? No, she calls Dina a fucking burden. Direct quote. You are a burden. Why didn't you tell me before we came? You burden. She shames her because her mind and her focus is singularly on murdering Abby. And her descent into darkness is handled with gravitas, and it's executed well. Despite the controversy of the story beats of the game, they handled it well within the game and the direction that they wanted to take the story. And so here we are, replaying the game story, and all of that gravitas and all of that tunnel vision that was not set up in their little romance escapade in prior episodes is yet again catching up to us because the impact is not there. And now we have to have Ellie being super serious. Yet at the same time, when her and Jesse venture off into Seattle to go try and find Tommy, what is she doing? She's being a wise ass with Jesse, who rightfully is putting her in her place. And it's Jesse is, from the moment he's arrived, his presence is very much felt. And I really found his character endearing in a way that was just like, yo, Ellie, shut up. Stop being a smartass. We're in the middle of a war zone. My girlfriend, who you've stolen from me, is pregnant. I'm gonna be a dad. He's actually gonna be a dad. And he is pissed off at her. And she is acting like it's high school drama. Like she passed a note to Susie Q in history class. And not like that they're stuck in an active war zone, surrounded on all fronts by enemies diverse and varied. And then they have this little talk, and this was a short episode for a finale. It was like 40 or so minutes. And they have this talk with Jesse, and as someone that played the game, I knew it was coming at the end. And if you didn't play the game, it seemed pretty obvious, I feel like, because they do everything they can. They hammer it over your head what a good guy he is. And they really didn't have to go to that length because it's quite obvious. This is a guy who traveled a quarter of the way across the country to Seattle to rescue these two with nothing but himself and Tommy. And he tells this story, and the writers do everything they can to justify Ellie and Dina's love. He even admits, I do love her, but not like you. What the hell are you talking about, Jesse? You've known for like 5 minutes. How could you possibly know that? You chased Dina across the country to save her. And Ellie too, but like, let's be real, Dina is the apple of his eye. And the friendship that Ellie and Jesse had in the game was much better developed in this show, which is far more antagonistic. And, I got some thoughts to get out, so bear with me here, guys. I'll try and wrap this up somewhat quickly, but I got some stuff I got to vent about this because this could have been such a better finale. And after he expresses and tells Ellie that for some reason, I know you love her more than I could, basically. Tells her this story about a girl he met. She throws it right back in his face. Oh, you're trying to guilt me? You're just Saint Jesse? Compared to you, he's a great guy. You've got this petulant, sarcastic, antagonistic attitude toward everyone the whole season, completely selfish. I don't know why anyone would like her. She's not a likable character in the show. She is in the game, even as she descends into darkness, but not in this show, unfortunately. And it really comes down, part of it has to be writing and direction. She's an inexperienced actress. She's had limited roles. She was actually really great as the young child in Game of Thrones, Lady Mormont. But, I mean, this episode was on her shoulders. The weight and the brunt fell on her, and she dropped the ball. And just, again, more unlikable than you would want to see. And, you know, so as she throws that in Jesse's face, and they find Tommy, just like in the game. And this is where, like, the set design and the technical aspect, the visual effects are popping off the screen. You see the aquarium, you see the whale and the wheel that she mentions. Nora gave her that info. And she decides, I'm going after them, right? So I'm sorry about the backdrop. I guess my controller died, but it is what it is. So she gets in a boat. We see Isaac's launch. She just happens to show up right as the assault is being launched on the island, which we don't really get to see. She goes onto the boat. She's heading towards the aquarium, and the classic wave scene from the game comes. It knocks her out of the boat. But they take it in a different direction. And I have to be honest, I was intrigued. So, oh, where are we going? She washed up clearly not on the aquarium, it's on a different island. And we see a scar come out. And again, 40-minute episode. 7-episode season. Is this the best way to be spending our time, as we come to find out? And no, it wasn't, because it basically serves as excuse me, Hamilton. It basically serves, my brother in Christ, thank you. It basically serves as this little detour to parallel an earlier point in the episode. And that point being, when Jesse and Ellie are out, they come across a Scar getting chased into this parking garage they're hiding in. It's a teenager, anywhere from 15 to 17. And there's like 6 fully armed to the teeth with like automatic rifle wolves that come chasing him in. And Ellie, being Ellie, all of a sudden is just like, F this. She wants to chase him. And Jesse's rightfully like, what the hell are you doing? And then she wants to go throw the moral card back in his face. She's a kid. You just gonna let a kid die? What? They are at war. It is not their war, as Jesse correctly points out. And it's a weird time to play the morality game after she, earlier in the episode, goes, I felt absolutely nothing for torturing viciously information out of Nora. I felt nothing. It was easy. It was a walk in the park to me. Writing, yeah, all over the place. Made no sense. And then I guess we take this detour that was completely unnecessary, that could have been spent in other areas of the episode, to wash her up on an island, the Scar Island, the home base. She's about to get hanged and gutted, which at this point, I was kind of rooting for it. And she's literally saved by the bell of war. And they all just run off and they go leave her. Screw it. They all run back home to probably start defending their village. And then she just gets right in the boat. She goes to the aquarium. And here's where we hit an actually really good aspect of the episode. Because again, it's that one note Bella Ramsey can play really well, which is emotional crying and devastation. She shows up, and just like the video game, thankfully, they kept the dog out of it. Thank God. Maybe for budgetary reasons, maybe to keep my mom interested in the show. You don't kill the dog on TV. She goes, it's Owen, it's Mel. she does the play the map game, pointing the map, and Owen, with a gun on him, selfishly, with his pregnant girlfriend behind him, draws on Ellie, gets shot right through the throat, and that bullet goes through his throat and hits an artery in Mel's neck. She lifts her shirt up. She's super freaking pregnant. And in the game, it's kind of a parallel to Dina's, you know, it's showcasing the similarities of both groups, right? And how really just circumstance has made them enemies. And this is a very powerful moment, just like it was in the game. This episode didn't really do enough to earn it, but the scene itself is still so powerful. The implication of what's happened is so powerful enough as an idea. It doesn't necessarily need the good buildup for it to hit and for it to be devastating, because we're talking about a child that was ready to be born. And she dies. And then Tommy and Jesse show up. And Ellie is devastated. She just killed a pregnant woman. She didn't really want to. And they did a good job of showcasing that, I think, better than even the game did. So I'll give it another positive there. And then we get back to the theater. And she walks in and she's clearly shaken. And then from there, it's just yet another down note of her performance. Just, she's trying to be acting shocked, but it's just not, it's all in the eyes with actors. I couldn't do it. That's why I'm an amateur movie critic shooting on my crappy iPhone camera. So I'm not saying I would do any better, but the eyes aren't selling it. And then we get to the part I was dreading, because I really, really like Jesse. He was a much needed adult presence that this show had been missing for a few episodes prior to the series high flashback episode last week. And just like the game, he runs through that door and he gets domed. And it was pretty telegraphed. You probably knew, because they were like, how great of a guy Jesse is the whole episode. I can't die, I want to be a dad. He dies from Abby. And we get an interesting, like, gunshot deal. Is Ellie dead? Is she not? And then we cut to basically a mini flashback. We reset day one in Seattle. Welcome to life as a gamer TV fans, because now we will surely be spending the next season dealing exclusively with Abby's 3-day journey in Seattle leading up to the theater. But whenever next season comes, I don't know. But I honestly can say I'm kind of looking forward to an escape from Bella Ramsey's Ellie. So we lost Jesse. Tommy's hurt. Dina was somewhere off screen. She's pregnant. Paralleling with now dead Mel. And we'll get to learn and become acclimated to these characters next season. And we'll see how they handle that. And hopefully while that season is taking its journey with Abby, Bella Ramsey can improve her craft. Because she cannot carry this show. Not in her current state of acting. So, you know, technically, visually, set designs and stuff, this episode were excellent. There were a couple powerful moments. The death of Jesse, the handling of Owen and Mel's tragic deaths. Jesse's death was just as tragic, if not more. But man, Bella Ramsey was an anchor on this episode, and not the good kind of anchor, the kind that weighs it down and killed all motion, all momentum. And I mean, I'd probably give this a 6. I give it a 5.5 out of 10. And it's not from the technical standpoint. It's just the characterization of Ellie is so bad. It's so bad, and it's so vital and integral to the story that it's ruining the show. It's ruining the show. So I apologize for the long review, but that's all I got. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Am I being too harsh? Did you guys like this episode more than me? Give me a like, give me a subscribe. But that's all for tonight. My name's Jake Margo. This is Margo Watches Movies, and that's all for season 2 of The Last of Us. Overall, a disappointing ride with a couple really standout episodes, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.